What if a little girl's kindness flipped a millionaire's world upside down? The merciless late afternoon sun made the asphalt of the rural road steam as Maya Johnson walked home from school. The 10-year-old girl slowed her pace when she saw the shiny red Shelby GT500 Mustang parked on the shoulder, its hood up like a wide-open mouth. A white man in a suit that surely cost more than all the furniture in her house paced circles beside the car, yelling into his phone, "I don't care how much you charge for the tow. I've been stuck on this deserted road for 2 hours. I have a meeting with the governor in." The man checked his solid gold watch. "Less than 3 hours, for God's sake." Maya considered for a moment whether she should go on her way. Her Aunt Renee always told her not to talk to strangers, especially those who seemed so obviously out of place in the humble rural area where they lived, a predominantly black community 2 hours from Boston, but something about the man's desperate frustration made her stop. What secret could a simple ring on her finger hold? Maya adjusted the weight of the worn backpack where she carried her books, and more importantly, the small toolkit her Uncle Leon had given her, a mechanic who insisted that everyone should know at least the basics about engines. "Excuse me, sir," Maya called, approaching cautiously, "need some help with your car?" Andrew Whitaker, CEO of Whitaker Enterprises and owner of half of Boston's commercial real estate, turned in surprise. The irritation on his face quickly turned to condescension when he saw the small figure with colorful braids, faded shorts, and an MIT t-shirt that was clearly too big for her. "That's very kind of you, sweetheart, but this is a high-performance vehicle. I need a real mechanic." Maya shrugged, stepping closer to peer under the hood. "My uncle has a garage and has been teaching me about cars since I learned to walk. I can at least take a look." Before Andrew could protest, she had already dropped her backpack on the ground and was leaning over the engine with surprising confidence. "When did the problem start?" she asked, all professional. Andrew sighed, realizing he didn't have much to lose. "The engine started overheating about 40 minutes ago, and then it just died." "Did you smell anything sweet, like syrup?" Andrew blinked, surprised. "Yes, now that you mention it, how did you know?" "Cooling system," Maya pointed to a small puddle under the car that Andrew hadn't even noticed. "It's leaking coolant, that's why it overheated." How could a chance encounter unravel a decade-old mystery? As she spoke, Andrew watched the girl with growing curiosity. There was something strangely familiar about her, the way she furrowed her brow slightly in concentration, how her intelligent eyes scanned the engine methodically. "What's your name?" he asked suddenly. Maya Johnson." She held out her hand, stained with grease from the inspection. He shook it hesitantly. "Andrew Whitaker." "Nice to meet you, Mr. Whitaker. I think I can fix this temporarily." Maya opened her backpack and took out a small metal case. "Uncle Leon makes me carry an emergency kit. You never know when someone might need help on the road." Andrew watched, fascinated, as the girl worked with impressive efficiency, locating the leak in the radiator hose and applying a special tape. "That should hold until you get to town," she explained, "but you'll need to add water to replace the lost coolant." It was when Maya raised her hand to brush her hair away from her face that Andrew saw it, a ring with an emerald green stone set in antique gold, held on her finger with thread wrapped around the base to keep it from slipping off her small finger. Andrew's world seemed to stop. The sun glinted off the stone, reflecting an internal pattern he would recognize anywhere, a small crescent-shaped imperfection, a ring he had given 12 years ago to a little girl named Maya at an orphanage called Little Angels, days before it was mysteriously closed. "That ring," Andrew began, his voice suddenly trembling, "it's very unusual." Maya looked down at her hand. "It was my mother's, my adoptive mother, Diana. She died last year." A shadow of sadness crossed her face. "She said it was a symbol of an important promise." "May I ask where Diana got this ring?" Maya shrugged. "She never told me exactly, She just said it belonged to someone special and that one day I would understand its meaning. Andrew tried to pull himself together, offering to drive Maya home as a thank you. She hesitated only briefly before accepting. During the 15-minute drive, Andrew asked seemingly casual questions about her life, where she went to school, how long she had lived there, who she had lived with since her adoptive mother had died. "I live with my Aunt Renee and Uncle Leon," Maya explained. "They took me in when Diana died." "Have you always lived here?" Andrew asked, trying to keep his voice casual as he gripped the steering wheel tightly. "Since I was 3, before that," Maya hesitated. "Diana didn't talk about it much. I know I was adopted from an orphanage called Little Angels. It closed soon after." Andrew almost lost control of the car. "Little Angels? Are you sure?" "Yes. Why, do you know it?" Andrew took a deep breath. "I did, a long time ago." As they approached a modest but well-kept house, Andrew stopped the car. Maya thanked him and said goodbye, but before she could get out, he handed her a card. "Maya, if you ever need anything at all, please call me." The girl accepted the card with a curious look and got out of the car. Andrew watched as she ran toward the house, the ring sparkling in the sun. His hands trembled as he picked up the phone to call his private investigator. What Maya couldn't know as she waved one last time to the stranger in his expensive car was that this chance encounter had just set in motion events that would reveal secrets kept for more than a decade, secrets that connected a billion-dollar empire, a mysteriously closed orphanage, and a black girl with an extraordinary ability to fix broken things. If this story of unlikely coincidences and hidden connections has piqued your curiosity, stay tuned with Black Voices, because a simple ring is about to become the key to unlocking a web of power, prejudice, and a truth that will change lives forever. Andrew spent 3 sleepless nights staring at enlarged photos of the emerald ring his investigator had captured, the jewel he had given little Maya at the Little Angels orphanage as a promise that he would come back for her, a promise he never kept. In his office at Whitaker Enterprises, he examined documents scattered across his desk. 12 years ago, his father, Howard Whitaker, had bought the Little Angels property for a fraction of its value, citing financial irregularities. Coincidentally, Andrew was named CEO shortly thereafter. "Mr. Whitaker, Mr. Evans from Legal is here with the Horizon Project documents," his assistant announced. The Horizon Project, a luxury complex under construction on the very site where the orphanage had once stood. Andrew quickly tucked the reports away before Evans entered. "The Little Angels acquisition documents are here," Evans said, "although I don't understand why we're revisiting old business. Your father was quite specific about keeping these documents on file." "My father is retired in Florida," Andrew replied dryly, "and I run the company now." As he examined the documents, Andrew discovered suspicious bank transfers and, more disturbingly, a list of children who had been reallocated when the orphanage closed. Maya Johnson's name was circled in red with a note, "Special case, contact HW." His investigator Ramirez called with news, "I found Diana Johnson, car accident last year, brakes failed, suspicious circumstances." "What about the adoption records? Missing." Officially, Maya Johnson never existed at Little Angels. Find out everything you can about her current family, Andrew ordered. Meanwhile, Maya was working in the small workshop behind her aunt and uncle's house. The place was her refuge, tools organized on the walls, the comforting smell of oil and grease. "Did you manage to fix the old radio?" Leon asked, entering the workshop. Maya smiled, lifting the 1950s radio. "I did it, just had to reconnect a few wires." Leon affectionately ruffled his niece's braids. "You have a gift, girl. I've never seen anyone understand machines like you." "Uncle, do you think my mom would be proud? Diana was so proud of you, she could have burst." Maya twirled the ring on her finger. "I met a rich man the other day. His car broke down and I fixed it. He recognized my ring." Leon froze. "What man?" "Andrew Whitaker. He gave me his card." Maya showed them the card. He seemed strange when he saw my ring. Leon's face paled. He exchanged glances with Renee, who appeared at the door. Maya, dear, Renee said tensely, remember when we promised to tell you the truth about Diana when you were older? I think that time has come. That night, Maya heard the hidden story, how Diana, a nurse at the orphanage, had run away with her when the orphanage suddenly closed, how they had changed their names and gone into hiding for years, always looking over their shoulders. Your mother left this for you, Renee said, handing her a yellowed envelope. She made us promise to give it to you only if someone from the Whitaker family showed up. With trembling hands, Maya began to read. My dear Maya, if you are reading this, someone has found you. There are things you need to know. At Andrew's apartment, Ramirez called again. Sir, someone else is investigating little angels, a reporter named Marcus Hayes. What does he know? Quite a lot, and he has a theory about why your father was interested in certain children at the orphanage, specifically children with unusual talents. The next day, a black SUV pulled up in front of Maya's school. 2 men in suits watched as she left with her friends. Is that her, the girl with the emerald ring? Yes, Mr. Whitaker Sr. wants to see her immediately. What they didn't know was that Leon was parked across the street. He took out his cell phone and dialed a number Diana had left for emergencies. Marcus Hayes. It's about little angels, Leon said. And a girl with an emerald ring. I found the proof you're looking for. At Whitaker Enterprises, Andrew stared at his father, Howard, who had flown in from Florida without warning. What's this about reviewing the little angels' documents? Howard demanded. I thought that matter was closed. I found Maya Johnson, Dad, the girl with the emerald ring. Howard paled. So what? Just another orphan. What matters is Project Horizon. Billions are at stake. What was so special about that girl? Howard laughed dryly. Don't you really understand what's at stake? Some children are valuable, they have talents that can be exploited. She fixes things, Andrew said slowly. She can look at broken machines and just understand them. Howard's smile was icy. Think of the military applications, the patents, the power. Why do you think we bought that orphanage? What neither Whitaker realized was that Maya was already reading Diana's letter, discovering the truth about her past and her special talents, and more importantly, discovering why the emerald ring was so valuable. It wasn't just a piece of jewelry, but a key to documents that could bring down an empire. The pieces of the puzzle were starting to fall into place. On one side, a powerful corporation ready to protect its secrets at any cost. On the other, a 10-year-old girl with an extraordinary talent and a ring worth far more than its weight in emeralds. Between them, a man trying to decide which side of the story he wanted to be on. The conference room on the 50th floor of Whitaker Enterprises was buzzing with nervous executives. Howard Whitaker had called an emergency meeting, his normally controlled face now contorted into a mask of fury. Where is my son? Howard demanded, pounding the massive glass table. Andrew should have been here an hour ago. As if summoned by his words, the double door swung open. Andrew entered calmly, accompanied by a woman in a suit whom no one recognized. Sorry I'm late, Dad, Andrew said with a calmness that made Howard frown. This is Federal Prosecutor Claire Bennett. She has some questions about Project Prometheus. Howard's face paled. Project Prometheus, the code name for the secret program to identify and exploit children with special talents, a name that should never be mentioned in public, let alone to federal authorities. What the hell do you think you're doing? Howard hissed. Andrew walked over to the large screen on the wall and connected his laptop. Something I should have done a long time ago. The truth about little angels and the other 5 institutions you've closed down over the last 15 years. The lights went out, and the screen came to life with documents, photographs, and reports, detailed records of 48 special children identified, tested, and exploited by Whitaker Enterprises. You stole confidential documents. Howard tried to regain his composure. That's corporate crime, industrial espionage, documents evidencing far worse crimes, Andrew replied, unauthorized experiments on minors, falsification of adoption records, bribery of public officials, intimidation of witnesses. A video began playing on the screen, security footage from 12 years ago, a young nurse, whom Andrew now knew to be Diana Johnson, fleeing in the middle of the night with a child in her arms. Next, a clip of Howard instructing security guards, "Find her, the girl has significant military potential, we can't lose her." 3 Little Angels employees died in accidents in the weeks that followed. Andrew continued relentlessly, including Diana's brother, who had started asking questions. "You have no idea of the implications," Howard began, but was cut off when the doors swung open again. Maya Johnson entered, accompanied by Uncle Leon and a man carrying a professional camera, Marcus Hayes of the Boston Globe. "Maya," Andrew said softly, "you didn't have to come." "Yes, I did," she replied with surprising dignity for someone so young. "Diana always said that one day I would have to face the men who made us run." Howard looked at the girl, his expression shifting from shock to cold calculation. "So, you're the prodigious Project 17, I didn't imagine you'd be so small. And you're the man who killed my mother," Maya replied, her gaze unflinching. "Her brakes didn't fail by accident, did they?" Howard smiled, regaining his confidence. "Proving anything would be impossible, and you're forgetting who I am. One phone call, and all of this disappears." That's when Maya opened her backpack and took out the emerald ring. With deft fingers, she turned the stone, revealing a secret compartment. From inside, she took out a tiny device. "Diana was smarter than you thought," she said. "This is a storage device she hid in the ring. It contains backup copies of all the Little Angels records, including recordings of your meetings with military doctors about harnessing children with enhanced cognitive abilities for strategic applications." Howard Whitaker, for the first time in his life, was speechless. "This is being broadcast live right now," Marcus Hayes explained, pointing to his camera, "to our studio and directly to social media platforms. Over 10,000 people are already watching." Andrew walked over to his father, keeping his voice low. "It's over. The prosecutor has a deal for me, full cooperation in exchange for immunity. As for you, well, we'll let a jury decide." As federal agents entered the room to arrest Howard Whitaker, Maya approached the man who had destroyed so many lives. "My mother taught me that broken machines can be fixed," she said calmly, "but broken people need to fix themselves. I hope you get that chance in prison." Howard was led away, his empire crumbling live for the world to see. In the days that followed, Whitaker Enterprises' stock plummeted. Investigations revealed decades of unethical practices, illegal experimentation, and systematic corruption. Andrew watched it all with a complex mix of relief and regret. He had lost his family and his inheritance, but he had found something more valuable: his integrity. At the courthouse, as Howard awaited his preliminary hearing, Maya approached Andrew on the steps outside. "What happens now?" she asked, the emerald ring sparkling on her finger, no longer a symbol of secrets, but of truth revealed. Andrew looked out at the city skyline, at the skyscrapers that had been built with money stained by exploitation and suffering, among them, the gleaming Whitaker building, which would soon lose its name. "Now," he said, "we rebuild, not just buildings, but lives." What none of them could have predicted at that moment was how that rebuilding would transform not just their lives, but an entire community. An empire built on exploitation was crumbling, but from the ashes, something new and unexpected was about to be born, something that would forever change the way the world viewed exceptional talent in unlikely places. 5 years have passed since the day Maya Johnson exposed the truth about the Whitaker Empire. On a sunny spring morning, she walked through the halls of the newly opened Johnson Center for Young Inventors, a sprawling complex of labs, workshops, and classrooms built on the same site where the Little Angels orphanage once stood. The sensors in the East Wing are still malfunctioning, Maya, now 15, told the group of engineers following her. Her experienced eyes identified problems in complex systems with the same ease with which she had detected a leak in a Mustang's radiator years ago. At the back of the center, Andrew Whitaker talked with investors, his suit replaced by jeans and a button-down shirt. The former billionaire heir had donated his entire personal fortune to found the Prometheus Initiative, no longer an exploitation project, but a program dedicated to identifying talented young people from marginalized communities and providing them with opportunities. We discovered 23 children with exceptional talents just this quarter, Andrew explained. Each one receives a full scholarship and personalized mentoring, no contracts, no exploitation, no secrets. Andrew's transformation surprised many, especially former executives at Whitaker Enterprises. The man who had once been heir to an empire built on exploitation was now dedicating his life to repairing damage and creating genuine opportunities. Maya is about to publish her third patent, said Leon, who now ran the center's engineering program. Harvard, MIT, and Stanford are already fighting over who will recruit her. On the center's main wall, an exhibit documented the entire story: photographs of the orphanage, newspaper clippings about the fall of Whitaker Enterprises, and a headline that changed everything: Whitaker Empire collapses after teenage revelations. Meanwhile, in a medium-security federal prison, Howard Whitaker stared at the walls of his cell. The tycoon who once controlled billions and manipulated lives now spent his days in confinement, abandoned by former allies, his fortune confiscated, his name forever tarnished. He refuses to participate in any rehabilitation program, a guard commented. He still believes he'll get out of here and rebuild everything. The arrogance that had been his trademark was now just a sad caricature, an old man clinging to dreams of power that would never come true. That night, the Johnson Center held its first major graduation ceremony. 12 young people from disadvantaged communities had completed the intensive 2-year program, each with job offers or college scholarships in hand. Maya, still too young to graduate, but already recognized as a mentor by her older peers, took the stage to give a speech. When I was 10, I fixed a stranger's car on the side of the road, she began, twirling the emerald ring on her finger, now a symbol not of secrets, but of transformation. That small act of generosity exposed a web of exploitation, but it also paved the way for something new and better. Andrew watched from the back of the auditorium, his eyes watering. The girl who had destroyed his old world had, in fact, given him a purpose that no fortune could buy. My adoptive mother, Diana, used to say that broken machines can be fixed, but broken systems need to be redesigned from the ground up. Maya continued, that's what we're doing here, not just fixing what was wrong, but building something entirely new. The next day, Maya received an unexpected letter. The sender, Victoria Whitaker, Howard's daughter, who had renounced her family name after the scandal and now worked as a federal prosecutor. We found 5 more orphanages with programs similar to Little Angels. The letter read, thanks to your testimony and the evidence you gathered, we've been able to identify and protect 37 more children. Some have talents like yours. When you're ready, they'd love to meet you. As Maya read the letter to Andrew, Uncle Leon, and Aunt Renee, a sense of closure hung in the air. What had begun with a chance encounter on the side of the road had become a quiet revolution, transforming not only their lives, but an entire system that had thrived on the exploitation of the vulnerable. You know what's ironic? Andrew said. Howard always said he was building a legacy, and he really did, just not the way he imagined it. Maya looked out the window at the children playing in the center's gardens, free from the kind of manipulation that had nearly defined her own destiny. Real power was never in the buildings or bank accounts, she replied. It was in the ability to make a difference in other people's lives. That evening, as the sun set over the Johnson Center, a new sign was unveiled at the entrance: every talent deserves to flourish, every child deserves freedom. It was a promise for the future, built on the ashes of a past they refused to repeat. If this story of justice, resilience, and transformation touched your heart, be sure to like this video, share it with friends, and subscribe to Black Voices for more stories about how small acts of courage can change entire systems, and how true reparation isn't just about punishing evil, but about building something better in its place.